fine. Hello everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law, where we learn through the misfortunes of others. As always, I hope you'll enjoy this live legal education content, and today will be the day I earned that subscription. For today's content, we are trying to give a bit of a summary of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial to date, because I am a Virginia lawyer. Yes, it is true. I am admitted to practice in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I believe that is the only person on the law tubes who is admitted to practice in the Virginia. So therefore, I have things to say. Anyways, we're going to cover this a little bit about what's been going on in this trial, because it's interesting from a whole bunch of vantage points. It's interesting from the legal standpoint about exactly what we're trying to do. It's interesting from the factual standpoint about what's happening in the courtroom. And of course, it's interesting for the drama. So it's interesting in a couple different ways. So let's talk a little bit about the legal issues first. All right. So what we're arguing over, ostensibly, is a single article that was published in the Washington Post that was written by Amber Heard. And this article from the Washington Post is the basis of our defamation. So from a legal posture, what we must be trying to prove, there's no alternative. What we must be trying to prove is that this article unto itself is defamatory. That is, that it makes a false statement about another, been published to a third party in an unprivileged way, tends to harm the reputation, does harm the reputation, basic defamation law principles. And some of this, of course, is defamation per se, so we don't even necessarily need to prove, at least at the outset, those last two elements. So we only need to prove, at least at the outset, that it's a false statement, a fact, published to a third party in an unprivileged way that, makes false statements a fact that are, about and concerning the plaintiff, about and concerning Johnny Depp. Okay, great. So I think that we have a bit of a problem on a legal posture on this case for Johnny Depp. Now, I'm not saying he's sunk, but it's a little bit difficult, I think, in some senses, to actually prove what he's trying to prove, because from a pure legal posture, it's difficult. Because first of all, the statements are very generic. Now, you can do defamation by implication, to be sure, but how deep that goes is a whole nother set of problems. So I think the biggest statements in this article that can be said to be about Johnny Depp, there's two sentences in this article that really are the focal point of the defamation. There's also the issue with the title, but I don't know, that doesn't really do that much for me personally. But the other two sentences are the ones that seem to be the principal focus. So the first sentence is that 2 years ago, I became the face of domestic violence. Okay. And then she has this whole shit metaphor in which she says, ultimately, I've seen how, Hollywood protects important and powerful men, basically. Now, is this statement out about and concerning Johnny Depp? I think this much is not that much of a problem to prove, right? 2 years ago, I became the victim of domestic violence. Well, 2 years before this article was written and published was when these initial allegations against Johnny Depp was made. That was the time that she got this initial restraining order from a California court. That was the time that she initially made these allegations of violence against Johnny Depp. So that the statement is about and concerning Johnny Depp. Okay, fine. I think that's easy enough to prove. That so you can prove that it implies talking about Johnny Depp. So you don't need to mention his name explicitly. As long as a person reading it, an ordinary, normal, common person reading it would understand it to be talking about Johnny Depp, right? I think you're fine. Where things get a little bit more tricky from a legal posture is exactly what is being alleged about this, right? So the thing is, what exactly is the article concerning? What is the false statements about, right? So if the implied false statement because it's also not there, right? The implied person is talking about is Johnny Depp. If the implied false statement is Johnny Depp committed some sort of domestic abuse against me or domestic violence against me, that is a problem for Johnny Depp, and I'll get into why. If the implied statement is the specific allegations from two years ago, that this one sentence is effectively republishing, making all those specific allegations again. So this one sentence is in effect remaking all those specific allegations, then Johnny Depp, I think, is in a much better posture, because there's no way I think that Amber Heard can prove that, right? So it depends a little bit about what we're trying to prove. And it seems to me that trying to get these sentences to say what they're talking about is not only Johnny Depp, okay, fine, not only that Johnny Depp committed some kind of domestic abuse, domestic violence against me, okay, fine, but to the next step of they are specifically an ordinary person reading this would understand that I'm remaking all those specific allegations I made in 2016. For my mind, it's a bridge too far, right? It's just a bridge too far. You're asking these sentences to do a lot of work, and I just don't think you can do it. I just don't think you can defamation by implication that much. I mean, to say that this sentence about 2 years ago I became a victim of domestic violence is re-alleging all the specific allegations from 2 years ago. To my mind, that's just asking these sentences to do much. As a matter of law, they're asking it to do too much. I just don't think these particular sentences can carry that much weight. You know, I saw how Hollywood protects powerful men. Okay, it's about Johnny Depp, fine, but it's remaking all those specific allegations. To my mind, that's asking these sentences to just do too much work. And I just don't see it personally. As a matter of law, I don't see it that you can get there. It's just asking this to do too much. Now, so let's go to the easier statement, right? That it's about and concerning Johnny Depp, and it's alleging domestic violence, domestic assault. Okay, this much I think you can do. The problem a little bit becomes, what do we mean by domestic violence? What do we mean by domestic assault? And this is the rub, because and Johnny Depp and the lawyers for Amber Heard had an overall disastrous cross of Johnny Depp. Well, disastrous is unfair. It is unfair. I just don't think they were very effective, is better. It wasn't disastrous in the sense that I thought they lost ground. So it wasn't like it was bad for them. It just didn't do anything for them for the most part. But there were a couple parts of the cross-examination that were pretty effective for Amber Heard's team. And the most effective part of the cross-examination came right at the beginning, to my mind. It was basically the first questions out of the mouth. In fact, I think it was literally the first questions out of the Amber Heard's lawyer's mouth was the most effective questions, where they talked to Johnny Depp and asked him about his testimony concerning his mother and the violence that he observed and witnessed and had inflicted upon him. And, then they said to him, like, you testified under oath that, that she would yell at you and berate you and bully you and curse at you, and she would insult you and she would gaslight you and all that, right? All that stuff, right? Yes. And you had said under oath that in some ways was worse or as bad as or worse than the physical violence at times, right? And now he tried to cover his bases a little bit with his answer about, well, I said that as a child because words to a child and blah, blah, blah. But, that answer didn't really do that much for me in deflecting the point, because it didn't really do that much for me. So I think you can reasonably characterize Johnny Depp as admitting to the idea that words bullying, harassment, gaslighting, insults can be domestic abuse / domestic violence. And also, there's also like the physical, they talked about how he saw his father punch a wall and how he's punched a wall and how that might be perceived as domestic violence or domestic abuse. Or closing cabinets really hard or potentially breaking things might be domestic abuse, domestic violence. So I think, as to that aspect, it depends a lot on how broad the jury can reasonably understand the terms to be domestic violence, domestic abuse. What does that conjure to the mind of a reasonable reader? Does it merely suggest physical violence, or does it suggest more? 20R from Pollyanna. You're stretching too much in trying to change the meaning of the article, because if they didn't allude to him, didn't need to be mentioned. They only made effective he's an addict, but so was she, the psychiatrist at the beginning. I don't know quite what you were trying to say to me. I made a point of saying that, it doesn't need to mention him explicitly to be about him. So I don't think that you need to mention him explicitly by name for a jury to conclude the articles are about him. So I think getting to the idea the articles are about and concerning him, I think you're there. To the idea that they're alleging that he participated in some sense, and that's the problem, in some sense of domestic violence, domestic abuse, I think you're there. Where I sort of have a problem with it is trying to say that these sentences are republishing all those very specific allegations from 2 years prior, that would be understood by a person to re-allege all those specific things. And it's just asking it to do too much work, in my humble opinion. So that's sort of what I think about the law. So as to what the question the jury has to decide, I guess in part, is when she wrote the things that she wrote, which, sure, it's about Johnny Depp, I agree. When she wrote the things that she wrote, and she said that 2 years ago I became the face of domestic violence, is it enough? Is it enough that Johnny Depp, used berating, unkind words, bullied, if that's your perception? Is that enough? Or does her statement necessarily imply physical violence, which isn't proven at all, to my mind? There's been no proof of physical violence, and every attempt by the Amber Heard's team to show physical violence has been comical, in my view, because they're trying to use these words like hurt and all this other specific stuff to say it's physical, and it's just not playing to me. I'm not buying any of this, that any of this means physical violence. I'm not getting that at all. Luke Pearson says you don't. Case law in Virginia is if the parents took appropriate measures, their kids won't die from specific allergies. Can reasonably imply a specific mother didn't do that in that context. Yes, fine. I understand. I'm not disputing you. I get it. Right? I'm not disputing you. I don't think. Am I just talking past you? Are we talking past each other? Pollyanna, R says R20. The lawyers are trying to say because it didn't mention him, it's not about him. Yes, I'm sure they're trying to say that. It just doesn't work for me. I'm sure they're trying to say that, right? I mean, it's a valid line of argument. I just don't think it works, personally. If the article is not about him, why begin talking about the DV? As for verbal abuse, why is that a response to her attacks? Well, I mean, whether it's responsive or not, I don't know. It gets into issues about, mutual domestic violence or mutual domestic abuse. I could get into some issues regarding that. So I think a lot's going to depend on what the jury thinks that these sentences can reasonably be understood to mean, and reasonably be understood to imply. That it's about and concerning Johnny Depp, yeah, I think you can get there. I understand her lawyers are trying to argue against it. I just don't see it. I mean, I don't think that works as an argument. They can argue it. I just don't think it works. That it's alleging Johnny Depp committed some sort of violence 2 years prior to the article, or abuse, yeah, I think you're there. But to go the next step from Johnny Depp's lawyers, that it's republishing all these specific statements, seems like a bridge too far. So I think the question becomes, what are we trying to prove? If we're trying to prove that Johnny Depp committed domestic violence, I don't think they're anywhere close. I apologize. Let me rephrase. If we're trying to prove Johnny Depp committed physical violence, I don't think we're anywhere close. You know, I don't think we're anywhere close to that. None of these statements are doing anything for me. If we're trying to argue Johnny Depp was berating, bullying, condescending, closed cabinets, punched walls, okay, I think you're there. But then the question becomes, what does the statement reasonably imply to a person in the jury? Do they, and the problem is Johnny Depp seems to have conceded this point, which I don't know they had any alternative, to be honest, but he seemed to concede this point. Because you go back to that first question from Amber Heard's lawyers, and he talks about how he said when he was a child, how the words were as painful, if not more painful, than the physical violence. And so, words hurt and can be violence. And so you kind of have this concession from Johnny Depp that could be understood by a jury to get Amber Heard to where she needs to be. So, this is a bit of a problem on the legal aspects regarding that. So it becomes a question of all that. And then, of course, that's on the law. That's on the law. Yeah, Brittany, we always go for the throat. I have other uses for your throat. Yeah, I did tweet that out. That was definitely the best line by far. And then Johnny Depp asking him to read it again was hilarious. So that's on the law. But on the factual side, Johnny Depp is crushing it right now. He's crushing it. And Amber Heard's lawyers have been ineffective, except for some legal points, which I've talked about. But on the factual points, not so much. They've been ineffective in trying to really paint Johnny Depp as a bad guy. They've been, especially with, her doing physical violence to him and him been responding merely to words. Words are not violence, and I do not mind disagreeing with you or him. That's a crap statement. Brian, that's fair. That's fair. But again, like in any legal case, you have to assess it based on the presentation of the cases, right? And if you can reasonably read Johnny Depp as conceding that it is physical violence, or apologize, not physical violence, but if you can reasonably read Johnny Depp as conceding that it is violence, then the parties don't disagree, right? If you can reasonably read Johnny Depp conceding that verbal abuse can be violence, then the parties don't disagree about it. So the only conclusion a jury can reasonably reach would be that for the purposes of this case, right? Every case has to be understood to itself. Every case has to be understood within its own boundaries. But if Johnny Depp can reasonably be understood as conceding that ground, then for the purpose of this case, there's no factual dispute between the parties as to that element. So the jury, of course, is a finder of fact. That's what the jury does. They're a finder of fact. The jury is supposed to decide which facts are true when there's a dispute between them, right? This happened. No, this happened, right? And then they're supposed to decide which happened. But if the parties don't disagree, there's nothing for the jury to do because they both conceded the same facts. There's no dispute. So while I might disagree with it and while you might disagree with it as a sort of global principle, within the confines of this case as to what a jury theoretically is supposed to be doing, if you understand Johnny Depp as conceding that ground, there's nothing for the jury to do except take it as a given because there's no dispute. And then the only issue becomes what the article can reasonably be understood to imply. So that's why, you know, all that is important to keep in mind. Excuse me. They can also ignore what Johnny says. I mean, yes, they can, but they really shouldn't. Because, again, what a jury is supposed to do is be a finder of fact, right? If both sides agree on a fact, there's nothing for a jury to decide. So, I mean, you know, at least in sort of legal vacuum world, you know, that's sort of the idea. But, of course, in the real world, which is what I was trying to get to, right? Because we started with the legal principles. That was the first part of my talk with you. It was like the legal principles, like here is the law, here's like the black letter of this thing. Defamation isn't an element. Defamation is the entire cause of action. But this is the legal posture. But from a factual posture, returning to that, Johnny Depp is crushing it right now. Amber Heard's lawyers have been ineffective. They have been unable to show any physical violence. Their attempts to show physical violence have been comical in their attempts because, like, we go for the throat because we love, and I have other uses for your throat that don't include violence. I mean, really? This is what we're going with to try to prove that he's a violent guy, and he uses words like hurt. Oh, he must mean physical hurt? Come on. So the cross-examination has been it's not factually moved the needle. And it's just like they're just floundering on the facts. So Johnny Depp has effectively shown that he's been a victim of violence and physical violence, for that matter, because we've heard the tapes, and also that he didn't commit physical violence. And, you know, if they had anything, they would have presented it at this point, and they just don't have it. So they can't prove physical violence, to my mind. It's laughably absurd. So I think Johnny Depp is definitely winning the PR battle at this point. To some degree, you would kind of hope that would be true in some sense, because if it's not true, the plaintiff's case is weak. And if the plaintiff's case is weak, then you begin to wonder why you're here in the first place, right? So in some sense, you would expect this to be true of any case. And when it's not true, you begin to wonder, like, why are we here? Because the plaintiff should be strong in their case. During their own presentation, they should be strong. And so he is strong in his case. And they've been ineffective at disproving him. So Johnny Depp at the moment, I think, is well winning the PR battle. He's well winning the idea that, you know, he was a nice, kind guy, and he didn't commit physical violence, and he had violence committed upon him, and so forth and so on. And so Johnny Depp, I think, is crushing it. And we haven't even heard all the tapes yet in the trial. With other tapes like Amber Heard saying, you know, go to the press, no one will believe you, and so forth and so on. So Johnny Depp is crushing it at the moment on the factual posture. Let me see if the bot is working. Oh, it is working. Yay. The bot's working again. Hooray! Let's see. Where does the bot start for today? No, it's not working. The bot is hit and miss. Lame. I'll try to answer your questions. If you could just put at Uncivil Law so I can see it, because it at least shows a color, that would be helpful. Lou asked, does the fact that Amber Heard colluded with the ACLU to make the article as damaging to JD as possible without it being defamatory change your opinions on the jury's view? No, not really. I mean, it shouldn't, right? I mean, if the idea is we want to make it as far as we can go without it being defamation, then, you know, okay. Whether or not you succeeded in that, Did I see your super chat? Probably not. Let me see. I might have been talking at the time. Catherine S. gave me $4.99. Love your no-nonsense, common-sense take on the period, which I assume you mean law. Luke Pearson says, in regards to how far do the statements stretch, the 2 years ago mentioned she shows up in courts with bruises. So I think physical is reasonable. Yeah. Janie, a message was deleted by Streamlabs. I didn't even know it could do that. All right. Those are all the super chats. Yeah. So we have a lot of trial left to go, and we have a lot of stuff yet to bring out. And I was surprised a little bit they didn't try to bring out more through Johnny Depp. I wasn't quite sure why they would do that. How's the concept of fighting words apply in Virginia versus Texas? Do I recall that some fighting words justify an assault? No. To the best of my knowledge, I don't believe fighting words justify assault. You need some physical action in addition to words. Valenci X says, will Johnny X's attorneys bring up the fact he wouldn't pick up the knife with his left hand and cut off the finger of his dominant hand? Is he waiting to ask Amber directly on stand? I don't know. Maybe. I was a little bit surprised they didn't try to do more through Johnny because he's so charming. Maybe they're going to try to do some more with him on redirect and really try to bring out some redirect. Was there a prenup? No. They did try to do a post-nup. I don't know the degree to which that was successful. Kerry Smith says, the longer he's on the stand, the more we understand his humor. Do you think that's helping him? Yeah. And I think Johnny Depp's attorneys did a very good job on direct in diffusing a lot of the statements that they tried to cross him on. You know, trying to make sure that people understood his humor and trying to make sure people understood his personality and that the idea of placating her and stuff like that. I think they did a very effective job. And so they weren't able to do as much with what they had as they wanted to, because Johnny Depp's lawyers did a very good job in structuring the direct to make certain things more difficult for the cross. So they did a good job. Lex G says, are there any illegal issues with the recording of Johnny on the plane, Moni, in regards to consent of recording being done? Possibly, but all those issues would have been dealt with in motions in limine. Those are motions in advance of trial, because people, I mean, you can reasonably expect those issues, right? So, like, for example, California is a two-party consent state, and so some of these videos seem to be taken surreptitiously, which might say that, you know, they are a problem. But then Virginia is a one-party consent state, so then the question would become, how does Virginia deal with that issue? And I don't honestly know the answer to that question specifically, in terms of that issue. But, you know, any issues like that in terms of whether they could be presented because they were illegally obtained, assuming they were illegally obtained, because I'm not going to make that assumption, but assuming they were illegally obtained, whether or not they can be presented would have been dealt with in motions in limine. So the court's already dealt with all those issues. The post-nup argument created the Australia finger being severed. True. Fair enough. Yeah, the fact that we had the story of the poop on the bed, I was surprised we didn't get the picture of it. To be honest, because I thought that would be good for them, but, you know, whatever. Duke Nugum says, what happens if she loses? Her net worth is only $8 million. Does she have to give a cut of everything she makes for the rest of her life until he's paid off, or does she go to jail? She wouldn't go to jail. Presumably she would seek bankruptcy. And we'd go from there. But yeah. Jat says, opinion, the dirty tactics the defense lawyers approach. Focusing on drugs and historical physical abuse JD went through only show how we needed help more than anything. I don't really take any exception to the defense's tactics. They are representing their client to the best of their ability, as they should, as lawyers. And so, the idea of trying to paint him as some sort of drug-fueled, coped-up maniac, is a reasonable idea. It didn't work, because Johnny Depp diffused a lot of that with his direct, which is, again, why you want to mention it first. If there's bad things, you want to mention it first. Because then when they mention it, you're like, yeah, I already talked about that. Rather than be like, oh, he hid it from us. So Johnny Depp talked about that, talked about how he used it for self-medication, all the rest of it. And so when her lawyers try to mention the drug use for like the 8th time, we're like, yeah, we know already. But, whatever, it's fine. So I don't really mind their tactics. They just have been very ineffective at them. So that's where I sit on that. What are my thoughts on the Amber not complying with the November court order regarding the forensic imaging of her devices? Yeah, I think the lawyers made a mistake. There's always disputes in every case. Well, that's overstating it. There's often disputes involving discovery and things like that, where one side doesn't think they have to give something to the other and stuff like that. And then the court has to step in and adjudicate it. So I'm going to, assume good faith by Amber's legal team. I'm going to assume that they made a decision in good faith and, they lost the argument and then the court whacked them over the head for it. So, didn't work out so well, but, I'm going to assume that they were trying to push the envelope. They were trying to push the envelope, and it just happened that they pushed it too far and they got burned. Why are they doing all the redactions on the fly? I don't know. I'm not sure, to be honest. Valenti X says, I hope they bring up the fact that you don't give someone with a knife when they have a history of SI. Bad shopping idea, Amber. Fair. Can't say it didn't work? I can say it didn't work. It's my opinion. I can absolutely say something did work or didn't work. It's my opinion. I don't think it worked. I wish JD's lawyers were more assertive and fight for objections they give up easily. I don't know about that. I think that you wouldn't expect many objections from Johnny Depp's lawyers because they're the ones on direct. So they wouldn't be objecting to their own witnesses. And they can't, there's nothing really for Johnny Depp's lawyers to object to. They can only really respond to objections from the other side. Or if the other side is making a mistake. So they, for example, objected when the lawyer made a mistake in terms of reading something on who was speaking. Because he said initially it was Johnny Depp speaking, and when it was Amber Heard, and they objected. And okay, yeah, that's a sustain, right? But there's really nothing for them, for the most part, to object to. Because they're in the presentation of witnesses. So they can object to... They can object to questions from cross for compound questions or, maybe things not in evidence or stuff like that. But, for the most part, I don't think there's been many things for them to object to at this point. Have I seen the report about flyers being left outside the court? Yes. The umbrella guy has a video about it. Thoughts? Yeah, that's a problem. Because it could very well be jury tampering or perceived as jury tampering. So I think that the court, I'm sure, took notice of it. I'm sure that someone let them know what was happening. So I don't know the degree to which those flyers were, seized by court officials before they had an opportunity to be really read by anybody who would matter. But it is a problem, and someone could definitely raise an issue of potential jury tampering. 700 people are watching and not even 220 likes. Well, thank you to the 750 people who are watching. That's a very good showing for my channel, and it is very, very appreciated to everyone who's watching. Since it is a jury trial, do you think the jury will vote more emotionally rather than straight edge legally? Yes. And I've said as much many times. Because and one of the problems is that this is a 6-week trial, which is just like an insane length of trial, particularly for a single issue. It's one issue. It's defamation. And I mean, there is also the counter defamation, so I guess it's technically 2 issues. But 6 weeks? I mean, that's an insane length of time. To my mind, it's insane. It is insane to me the judge let it be that long for this, because you're not like learning new things. So it just becomes, or learning about new things. It just seems so much. So I've definitely commented in the past that I think by the end, the odds that the jury is going to remember like any details at all, although they are taking notes, so there's that. But the odds, I think they're going to go in ultimately, probably, and just make an emotional impression about who they like more. I think the odds of them, really focusing on the jury instructions and really trying to parse out the fine legal minutia is not great. And it will be very interesting indeed to see the jury instructions, because that will help focus us on what the jury is at least theoretically supposed to be asking. So I look forward to that for sure. Kerry Smith says, wasn't it said in opening they could prove the photos were photoshopped? I don't remember that exactly. I think they were saying that they were kept in a video editing program, but whether they were shopped or not, I couldn't speak to. I don't think that's what they said. Why did they use the magazine cover to show Amber Haig's face instead of the original? Couldn't just remind the jury of more of what she did? I mean, I don't know why they made certain tactical choices, or why. There is no court session today for the jury. The lawyers are in the room. So the lawyers are in the courtroom today on like motion practice. So, and arguing over stuff and trying to make sure that all the exhibits that they admitted are in fact like in the record. Does jury tampering generally lead to a mistrial? Not unless someone asks for it. And I don't think Johnny Depp's lawyers would ask for it at this point. Does the jury in this trial also have to decide on the counterclaim? Yes. So they also will have to decide whether or not Johnny Depp lied about this specific incident. And it seemed like he hasn't. Do I know what the long sidebar is about? No, I try not to double guess that too much. How can the couple's psychologist be believed? She admitted she got pronouns wrong. How can the couple's psychologist be believed she admitted she got pronouns wrong? What there is only a he and she mixing thing is unacceptable. I don't know what that means, but thank you for the super chat anyway. Yes, but to be honest, if that's the case, I'd expect a hung jury. I don't know about that. Debbie says, do you think this trial will help male victims of domestic abuse be taken more seriously? Maybe marginally. $9.99 from C. Neil. Just a thanks for the work you do. Any thoughts if we'll see Scottish drops this week? We did see Scottish drops this week. In fact, last night I covered one of them on my channel, the case dealing with the Austin billboards, and there were 3 or 4 other cases that were announced yesterday. There was one dealing with Puerto Rico and some federal disability benefit that we might cover, because that's kind of interesting. And there was 2 or 3 other cases that were announced this week. So yeah, we saw some Scottish drops, and I covered one of them last night and going through the analysis. Can the judge still find Eve Barlow in contempt of court? Technically, yes, but I think the judge is happy with the remedy they have. So I don't see that happening. What am I drinking? I'm drinking my breakfast, basically. So this is a coffee concoction that I often have for breakfast. So what it is it is about 20 ounces of brewed coffee, to which I add a half stick of melted unsalted butter, and then I add 2 scoops of casein protein powder, and then I've also added a scoop of a fiber in there, and I also add a scoop of this amazing greens powder that like adds adds vegetable stuff to it as well. And so I drink that a lot for breakfast because it's very filling, and it's good on the macros in terms of trying to lose weight, because I try where I can to cut down carbs, and it's very, very low carb, right? So you get 400 calories from the butter of fat, you get 240 calories from the protein powder, plus you get 50 grams of protein. That's pretty good. And it's slow dissolving protein as well, so that's nice. And then you get, so that's 640. So it's like 640 calories. And then you add in the fiber and the green stuff to get some nutrients in there. That's a pretty good breakfast. It's very filling. Thoughts about the Milani Palette AH carried in her purse entire relationship, but not available to 2017 when divorced in 2016. I don't have any particular thoughts about that particular aspect now. It doesn't, the idea of a woman carrying makeup in her purse isn't surprising to me. I don't find that particularly surprising, but okay. Why was I disrespectful to Katie Joy Paulson? I don't think I was, Damon. I don't think I was disrespectful. I thought I was very respectful. I made a point of noting that I didn't have any animus towards her. I don't have any ill feelings to her. I don't think I was disrespectful to Katie Joy Paulson. I'm not sure why people, it's like, I'm like, she's not my friend because we've never socialized, right? We've had one conversation total, so we're not friends. That's just a factual statement. We're not friends, but we're not enemies. I have no ill feeling towards her. So, I don't, okay. Who do I think is right and who do I think is lying? I think that Amber Heard's counterclaim doesn't seem to make any sense. So I definitely believe Johnny Depp. But then again, we haven't heard from Amber Heard's side, so maybe when she presents it, it'll make more sense. Listen to the couple's psychologist testimony. She said she made mistakes, taking notes, admitting she liked using the wrong pronouns. Whatever. That's a lot of butter. It's really not a lot of butter. It's 400 calories. It's not that, and it actually tastes quite good, to be honest. Could the juries possibly be swayed by the personality of Leah like more? Yes, I think that's extremely likely. Bulletproof coffee? Yeah, basically that's what it is, yeah. Am I feeling a difference in my health? Not as much as I'd like to, but I keep trying to make progress. Why is MTG in court today? It's on live, but no clue as to why. Who's MTG? Is he one of the lawyers? The lawyers are in court today for motion practice. How do I think this is going? Right now, I think Johnny Depp is going to win. And I don't think Amber Heard's going to lose. Can I do a stream with the rest of gang where you just read Depp's text to each other? Maybe. That might be fun. Dramatic reading of the text. Where's Rakita? I don't know. I just wanted to do a stream this morning myself. Rakita's probably sleeping. Can movements like Me Too affect the outcome? Oh, I think so. Yes, to some degree. I think that the cultural zeitgeist and people's perception on it definitely influences things. Yes, I definitely think so. Amber, and also Amber has problems because she's told so many inconsistent stories. So she has credibility problems out the ass. So, I mean, she's got issues. What is my calorie deficit? I don't measure it exactly, but I just keep trying to work on the issues. Who requested 6 weeks of trial? I'm not sure about that. You can try a different saturated fat? Okay. I guess I could. What's wrong with butter, though? Marjorie Taylor Greene? Oh. I don't know the answer to that question. This conservative on campus gave $4.99. This trial has fallen under the Me Too radar. Sadly, people think men don't get abused. I agree. It's very sad, and hopefully this is bringing some light to it, although there's not much evidence for that in the press at the moment, but, you know, we'll see what's going on. Skip the butter and alcohol? No, that's okay, but thanks. How's the jury decide? Do they hold a vote? That's exactly how they decide. They discuss it amongst themselves and they vote. That's exactly it. Rael gave $9.99. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate your knowledge of the law. You're brilliant. Thanks for sharing. Well, thank you. I do my best. If the therapist assigned she said instead of he said, that's a problem. Okay. I don't know if it is, but all right. Does the jury decide on damages? Yes, the jury will decide on the damages issue. How can Depp win and Amber not lose? I don't understand the question. There's two separate causes of action. So theoretically, they could both win and both lose at the same time. Can she be charged for perjury? Who? And also probably no matter who you ask. Perjury in civil cases is basically borderline impossible. Well, it's very, very difficult and very, very rare. Valenti said, I think Me Too women can feel betrayed by Amber. It can backfire miserably. I agree. How do I think Amber will do on the stand in comparison to her awful legal interview process? Yeah, she's got problems because she's told so many inconsistent stories. She's got impeachment problems out the ass. So I don't think that's going to work. You need to get down to 900 calories a day. That is too few calories, man. That is way too few calories. 900 calories a day. I wouldn't even consider going less than 1,200 calories a day. And that is such a calorie deficit for me. Yeah, no, I wouldn't think so. I didn't put alcohol in my coffee. They were talking about two different things. They're saying you should give up butter and give up alcohol. I'm just like, nah. I didn't put alcohol in my coffee. Just put Amica cream on it. I should get some just to see what the hell it is. That'd be fun. Does the vote in this case have to be unanimous? Yes, in Virginia it does have to be unanimous. It is a 7-person jury. So there's currently, 10 people on the jury, which will be 7 when it's actually heard in the case. But, yeah. In the Austin sign case, could you maybe read the statute later? Because I think there's a prima facie holes in not reckoning digital moving logos. Okay, maybe. Am I doing keto? I'm trying to do keto with limited success, but I try. Is damages a separate trial if Amber's found guilty? Well, you mean liable, and no, it will not be a separate trial. This jury will decide that issue. They might decide it in 2 parts. I don't know if those issues have been bifurcated. So I don't know whether or not the parties have agreed to separate the issues. But they will do that. There's a lawsuit to ban her from being able to run for re-election due to involvement in January 6th. That's what the hearing's for. I don't see how that's possible. The House can expel her. She's a member of the House, right? So the House can expel her, but I don't think there's any way a court can prevent her from running. If she's convicted of certain crimes that might disqualify her, then fine, but I don't see how she can be disqualified from running except by the House and or by a criminal conviction. I don't understand that. Keeping working on your health, bro. I'm worried about you. Your beautiful blue eyes deserve a healthy complexion. Forgive me if it's not diet. It's probably diet. Does she have to take the stand? No, she doesn't have to take the stand. But it would be amazing if she didn't, because, you know, she has to test. I don't see how she can't, as a practical matter. She doesn't, strictly speaking, have to, but, you know. 10 CHF from Celia. I still find it horrifying that Amber recorded him vomiting and in pain from withdrawals. Who does that to a person they love? I don't know. Greetings from Switzerland. Hello, Switzerland. It's nice to have you here. Could Amber block the therapist and doctor's deposition due to doctor-patient confidentiality? No. Again, those issues have already been decided in motions in limine. So those issues have already been ruled upon. Probably the answer is no. So I don't. Can you explain the MTG thing happening right now? I'm not totally aware of it myself, to be honest. $2 from Potentially Criminal. Thanks for coming on last night. You're welcome. 7 men, 3 women right now for the 10. I think it's 6-4, to be honest. It's Arnica cream. All right, well, we'll look up some Arnica cream. We'll get some Arnica creams in our life. I'm sorry, I thought you said Depp will win and Amber will not lose. I must have misheard. Well, or I misspoke, possibly. 100% Amber on the stand as a game changer should be seen as a liar and unlikable? Quite possibly. Here from Legal Bites, excited to hear you here. Just tuned in, so I'm starting from the beginning. Awesome, that's great, thank you. Alcohol is the most fattening thing you can consume, 9 calories per gram. Be that as it may, you know? Is she taking the stand on Monday? No, we're still in Johnny Depp. We're nowhere near to. I don't think we're anywhere near to her side of the case. I think Johnny Depp still has plenty of witnesses. Yeah, we're still in Johnny Depp crossland on Monday, and then there will be redirect, which could last for a while, and then probably some recross. I don't think we're done with Johnny Depp for a while. It's an herb? Neat. James McFerrin said, could Johnny's lawyer call Eve Barlow to show ongoing abuse and defamation based on what she's done during the trial? No. The what has happened during the trial is protected by litigation privilege, so it's not a basis for a defamation suit. And you can't bring in Eve Barlow or anyone else because we don't allow in prior bad acts. You know, we don't allow people to bring in previous things to prove the current issue. Waximus says, have you heard about TMZ copywriting striking law tubers for JD's slacking cabinets tape? What are your thoughts? Yes, I have. I have heard. Emily D. Baker has shared in the law tubes messaging, and yeah, I think it's bullshit. Now, what's interesting about this is the only way that TMZ can file a claim, or, well, I don't know if it's the only way, but the most obvious way. The most obvious way that TMZ can file a claim is because Amber Heard sold the rights to the video to TMZ, which is just kind of hilarious. So Amber Heard sold her rights in the video to TMZ, and now TMZ is trying to claim copyright in them. But it's bullshit, because they're now in a court proceeding. Plus, on top of that, offering all kinds of commentary on top. So it's a whole bunch of crap, and they are hilarious, and they should, Do I think Elon Musk will testify? Probably not. But, stranger things have happened. Do I think Cross will be done by the end of the day Monday? The Cross proper? Maybe. But then we're into redirect. And so, Someone said in the UK trial's on the stand for 6 days. That sounds promising. 894 people currently watching. 902 people currently watching. Thank you very much. This is a very good turnout for me on my channel. It is super appreciated. As long as you guys keep asking questions, I will do my absolute best to answer them. Because as long as people are interested, I will try to, do my best. Stephanie asked, was it really necessary for Amber's attorney to keep asking, did I read that right? Yes, it was necessary, but why he didn't have him read it is beyond me. Do you think all Johnny Depp stands in the courtroom are influencing the jury? Nah, I don't know about that. Sela Souza said for €20. I don't know if you've already talked about it, but do you think Johnny Depp's team will say anything about the makeup she claims she wore during the relationship wasn't released until after the divorce? Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it will come up if that's true. That if she claimed a specific makeup and it didn't come out till after divorce, I'm sure it will come up at some point, probably on cross-examination of her. Resting Fitch Base said they brought up pending lawsuit against Johnny. Why can't Johnny bring Amber's assault charges? I'm not aware of this pending assault lawsuit. I'm not aware of this pending assault lawsuit. It seems odd that that would be happening because these assaults would have happened so long ago that they are well past the statute of limitations. So I'm not sure what even assaults they could be bringing up. Do you know why Johnny Depp lost in the UK? Well, it's a different standard in the UK, and it's also a different practice. So this was all decided by a judge, and there's that. And the UK is a lot more, thinks defamation includes more things than in the US. So, that's partially why. The standards for defamation in the UK and the US are not the same. The UK considers more things to be defamation than the UK. Apologize. The UK considers more things to be defamation than the US. I just saw Twitter that TMZ is trying to reclaim Emily D. Baker again on the same video. Who does that? Yeah, this is hilarious and annoying. Silver Flame says the comments about Burn the Witch are lines from Burn the Witch by Monty Python. So in a redirect, they can clear those text messages since he's a fan of Monty. Yeah, very much so. Laura Smart gave £50. Thank you, that's very generous. For alcohol and butter. Appreciated. Appreciated for sure. This trial will probably have the most impact as a soundbite and meme fodder for the next few years. True. The legal issues might be interesting to legal types, but the world at large will see out-of-context memes. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, right? Is recross a thing? It can be, with permission of the court. What's the sound of one hand clapping? What is your opinion, and what do you think the outcome will be? I think the most likely outcome at this point is for Johnny Depp to win and Amber Heard. What happens if Amber is impeached? Impeached is a legal term in addition to being a political term. So impeached in a legal sense just means to question someone's credibility by showing inconsistent statements. What happens? It makes her credibility seem questionable, right? If you bring in inconsistent statements, right, then you have to explain that. And it can make, so what happens is, if it's successful, the jury thinks less of her. Do I need an assistant? To do what? Maybe, Send me an email at uncivillawYT@gmail.com and let me know what you can do. Isn't Johnny getting into trouble for admitting to possessing and abusing drugs? Not really. Because, again, the statute of limitations has probably long since passed on all these incidences. Plus, it's California, so I'm not sure anyone cares. So, yeah, I don't think there's any legal exposure at this point. Ever been told you look like the comedian Gaffigan? Yes, I have. Five CA from Riza. Admit it. Rakita is drugged in the basement so you can get his viewers. No. We're all friends here on the Law Tubes, right? The Law Tubes is a very loose alliance. It is roughly equivalent to like a bunch of nation states that work together on various projects. So it's a very loose alliance. We're all independent, but we're all friendly with each other. So, you know, we don't coordinate content like between each other. People say, I want to cover something and ask people to join, and people join or don't as their interest and time allows. And so, you know, we don't really have anything more formal than that at the moment. Personally, I'd like it if we became a tighter alliance, but at the moment we're just all independent creators who sometimes coordinate on projects and say what we're interested in covering and see if people will join us. So, you know, that's where we're at. $49.99 from Brendan Orthenstein. I've enjoyed your take on Legal Bites panel. Thank you very much. I find Johnny Depp to be credible and focused solely on clearing his name. Fair. But I appreciate your focus and explanation of the legal standard they must meet. Well, yeah, I am a legal educator, so I like to spend at least some time discussing theoretically what we're supposed to be deciding. Right? Like, theoretically, here's the issues we're supposed to be deciding. Here, theoretically, here's what we're supposed to be doing with our time. Then, you know, we talk about the reality, which is, you know, maybe not that. There's a lot of YouTube drama lately on the law channels. Oh, I hope not. I haven't really seen any drama. Well, if you mean like the issues with random takedowns from people, I mean, that's really annoying for sure. But I haven't seen any drama. There's no drama to my mind between the law channels. Again, we're all independent creators. We have a loose relationship with each other. We're kind of all mutual friends. We're all part of a Twitter DM, so we can all like DM each other in the entire group, just to let you know, to coordinate on stuff if we're interested. But it's a very loose affiliation, so I don't think there's any drama. You know, independent creators, we're independent creators, and everyone can create what they want, and you know, it's fine by me. Why Virginia? Because the Washington Post is based in Virginia. They're suing over this article from the Washington Post. And the Washington Post is headquartered in Virginia. So that's why Virginia. That's where it was published. How can the UK be used as evidence? It can be used for impeachment. So you were under oath at the time in the UK. And so actually, you're being under oath is actually kind of immaterial one way or another. If you can show independent statements, you don't have to be under oath for that purpose. So you can bring in anything that's inconsistent that they've said. So if they said it on a podcast or said it on a YouTube or said it whatever, you can show that they're inconsistent by it. So it's being used to show potential inconsistencies. Not very effectively, I think. How did Amber Heard's lawyers have so much messages from JD to other people? Will JD's lawyers similarly have access to AH images? They should. And they got it probably through a subpoena or a direct examination of the phone. Yeah, please do make sure to like this video. It is appreciated. Why is UK info admissible? It's admissible for the purpose of showing inconsistent statements. Did Stephanie get fired? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. She has a day job. I give her notice of I don't like tell her in advance. Well, I give her short notice usually. Like I gave her 45 minutes notice, but I don't expect Stephanie to be here for every stream. She has a life. She has a job. I don't expect her to be here for every stream. I'm happy when she's here. I let her know when I'm streaming just to let her know in case she wants to join. But no, Stephanie's not fired. She has a life. She can't be here every time. You know, I don't really schedule things far in advance. It's fine. How much do you think the recording of Amber saying I didn't punch you, I hit you will hold? I think it will hold some value, to be sure. Peter H. asks, what is the judge likely to decide at the conclusion of this trial, if anything? The judge is unlikely to make any conclusions in this trial. The only possible thing that the judge really could do is after the damages are awarded, assuming the damages are a lot, there's a possibility the judge would reduce the damages because they're too much. So, but that's really the only time you'd really expect to see the judge to interfere at all. I think Johnny's in trouble after the video yesterday. Okay. $4.99 from Charlie Harris. I don't think Depp cares one whit about winning the case. He just wants the public to know the truth and is given this opportunity. Excellent. Fair enough. Any thoughts on the Kardashian trial? No thoughts at this point, but if it becomes videotaped and streamed, I might cover that one because that might be hilarious. LawTube is NATO? A little bit. Like mutual defense of each other? Yeah. Is legal part of the LawTube? No. I think this is mostly by his choice, to be quite honest. But no. Bally says 10 pounds. Isn't the case all about the op-ed piece? It is. Theoretically, yes. And isn't the video where JD is trashing a kitchen and throwing plates abusive behavior under law? That's kind of for the jury to decide. Therefore, JD defamation case fails. I don't know. That's really for the jury to decide. The jury has to decide what those sentences meant and whether or not what Johnny Depp did falls within the scope of that. So it's a question for the jury. Alan says, isn't it illegal to record someone without their permission? Depends where you are. Some states require two-party consent. Some states only require one. So, not necessarily. Depends where you are. How is Amber Teams allowed to use this as evidence? Those issues would have come up in motions in limine. I'm sure I could dig into it and try to find out the judge's reasoning because I'm sure there's a written document somewhere on the issue. But yeah, it would have come up. I don't know whether or not they were illegally recorded. And even if they were, Virginia might admit them anyway, because it would be an issue of potentially Virginia's law. So I don't know the answer to that question off the top of my head. Any thoughts on what Alex Jones is going through? Well, I've covered it a little bit on my channel. I noted that Alex Jones has to participate in depositions like everyone else. I did notice he did participate in that deposition, and the court was also kind enough to waive the $75,000 of fines. So that was really nice of the court because they didn't have to do that, but they did. So, I mean, yeah. And the fact that he's claimed bankruptcy, I mean, it's not particularly surprising. He's in a default judgment in Connecticut, I think, and there's another case pending against him which is not going well. So, there's a lot of monetary exposure for Alex Jones. So yeah, I mean, that's sort of what I think about that. Can we have copies of the witness list available? I don't know where the witness list is published, but I'm sure I can find it. Does anyone know when the trial is supposed to end? It's supposed to be 6 weeks. So theoretically, we have 4 more weeks of this stuff. Yeah, Rakita has shot down any negative comments about Legal Bites. He's very happy for success. Yes, we all are. We're all happy in each other's success. The AH recordings. I hate it when YouTube does that. Just kind of slams to the bottom. And then I have to scroll up to find where I was as I was reading something. Where the hell was I? Where was I? Psycho Boy said, the AH recordings in a 2-party state, is the statute up? Or does it only start once you become aware of being recorded? Oh, in terms of criminality issues? Yeah, I'm sure the statute of limitations has long since expired. I mean, I could look it up, but I'd be surprised if it's still ongoing. Ashley Harrison said, love you on Legal Bites. Great group. Fellow lawyer gotta disagree about the Depp lose. JD's exes spoke out. I didn't say Depp was going to lose. I think the legal, like on a purely legal case, I think it's a little bit shaky for Johnny Depp, but I think in reality he's going to win. Risa Gaze 5CA, a loose relationship. Sliding into DMs, I understand what you're saying. Okay. Silver Flame says, would the emails between ACLU and Amber discussing how to skate around using Depp's name in the article make a great case for defamation? Plus, he being left go for Fantastic Beasts. Yes. Sure. Yes. So it shows coordination. It also shows that the comments are about and concerning Johnny Depp. It's like, how do we get around actually like mentioning him by name? So like, yes, I think it would go a long way to proving those things. Washington Post is not being sued, but Amber. How's jurisdiction okay? Because it was published in Virginia. That's the headquarters of the Washington Post. That's their home. And so that's where it was published. So that's the place to sue over. There was a whole fight over jurisdiction, but that issue had been resolved. So it makes sense. Is there court today? Yes, the attorneys are in court today, but not the jurors. The attorneys are in court today for motion practice. Can you explain why AH team has not provided metadata of the photos? No, not really. How much do I guesstimate AH is paying for her whole legal time, and what hypothetically happens if she doesn't pay? Well, the legal team can sue her if she doesn't pay, although I would get the money up front, and that would be very typical. And how much do you estimate are paying? I mean, lots. I'm sure she's paying like an average of $500. I think an average of $500 per attorney that's there is a reasonable estimate. So, I mean, you're talking per hour, so you're talking like, it's $2,500, $3,000 an hour of legal expenses. Ashley Harrison said tons improper impeachment yesterday. Why no objections? Couldn't really speak to that issue. Kerry Smith says his impeachment seemed like petty little things. I tend to agree. Amber's will be huge in comparison. That does seem to be where things is going. Brenda Orstein says, I know my name is a doozy to pronounce. Awesome attempt. You're welcome. I do my best. Waximus says, uncivil law is love, uncivil law is life. Aww. I get the reference, but still, aww. Cindy says, can they ask AH on cross-examination about who she alluded to when she wrote the op-ed? Of course. Of course they can ask her. She's under oath. She should be put on the spot. Yes, they can absolutely ask that question. Heel says, supposedly during the UK trial, the Depp side accidentally gave Heard's team all the text by accents. They won't have Heard's messages. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the degree to which that's true. Again, the US process is independent of the UK process. So even assuming they didn't have Amber's text messages for the purpose of the UK trial, because I don't know what the UK issues are. Obviously, I'm not a UK lawyer, but even assuming they didn't have Amber Heard's texts for the purposes of the UK trial, they could get them for the purposes of the US trial, right? That it would be a subpoena to Amber Heard and to her phone carriers, and I'd imagine that would be granted. So they might very well have the text messages at this point. Am I licensed in Arizona? No. Amber Heard's lawyers were given JD's text by mistake in the UK trial. Again, I can't speak to whether or not the UK rules on this are. I can't discuss how UK handles this. Like, if you have inadvertent disclosure, they would be excluded in the US. So if you accidentally gave it to the other side, you could move to exclude and they'd be granted. But of course, the US rules are different than the US. So even assuming like they're given by accident in the UK trial, they might be required in the US trial because we have different standards. All right, obviously we have different, and every state has slightly different standards, obviously, as well. So the relevant issues here are Virginia's rules in terms of this. So yeah, I mean, you get a subpoena, and it seems like material things, and get them from third-party providers. So I can't really speak to the UK issues or UK evidentiary issues, but I would think that you would be able to get a subpoena for them in the US. Could the judge award higher damages? No. Addie says 179. First time watching the channel, I'm loving it. Excellent. I'm glad you are. To 931 of you who are currently here, please remember to hit the like button if you can. And if the subscribe button is currently red, it is sad. The subscribe button being red is sad. It is expressing its sadness, but you can make it happy. By clicking on the subscribe button, it will become gray, which is what it wants to be in this life. Help the subscribe button be what it was meant to be. Click the red subscribe button to make it gray. I thought you were burnt out on this. Surprised to see you mention it. I'm not burnt out. It's just, no, I don't know about that. No. Tira Mary says, can you explain how a defense attorney could just play out of context audio clips and text without any questions? That doesn't seem proper to me. Sure. Like, this is very common, right? And then it's up to the other side to like rehabilitate, so they can offer the same things with the context, right? So they'll offer things in isolation that are damning because it's good for their case, and then the other side can respond with like, well, that's not really true, here's the rest of it. So, well, Mike Tyson faced legal consequences for airline punches. I couldn't speak to that. If she wrote an article referring to events but mentioning no name, how's there even a case? Because it refers to him by implication, which is a valid basis of suit in Virginia. How does it decide which trials are streamed live? It's up to the court. Donica said 33 hours of modding legal bites this week. It was a busy week. I don't know if I was there for all of it, but yeah, I was there for a bunch of it. Even if the jury finds it to be a wash, JD still wins by getting the story out. Could well be. Does a loser pay winners' legal fees? Not typically, but it could be assessed for like as a slap remedy, which is also in play. Why are exhibits all embedded in PDF files? Don't you lose any metadata? It seems strange the exhibits are not raw files. Well, the metadata for a lot of that stuff is in the images, right? So I'm sure you've seen it on screen where it says like time received, time sent, like the time, date. So like a lot of that metadata is there. But why PDFs? Because it's a convenient format to present stuff. It's like, how would you present it raw? Like there may be no particular mechanism for that. So like putting everything in PDF is, it's a way to express content. So when will day 8 of the trial stream? On Monday? What is the cost for defense? I think, yeah, $2,500, $3,000 per hour is rough estimate. What about security cameras? Are those special? I don't know. You'd have to go to the specifics of state law, to be quite honest. You look like a mix of Alex Jones, Jim Gaffigan, and Channing Tatum. Okay, thank you for your comment. Johnny said he told Amber he was going to be recording her. Yes, I understand that. I think we were talking about the tapes that Amber Heard recorded. But yes, Johnny Depp telling her that he's going to record her would solve the issue. Why don't I make a cocktail at this time of day? It's a little early for that. At least in this particular occasion, it's a little early. I don't want to. Is it possible for the jury to vote in favor of Depp simply because of the deplorable action of age and not necessarily follow the law? As a practical matter, sure, because what happens in the jury room stays in the jury room. C. Neil gives 1999. Well, Joe and Andrew's drunk night was great comedy, but it was headed for drama when Joe couldn't figure out how to shut down the stream. Other that, I kind of like smaller panels when everyone's channel, you get to hear everyone. Okay. How are jury instructions determined? Interpretation law? Yes, exactly so. There are model jury instructions because, it's not our first rodeo. These cases have been heard by courts of appeal before many times. So there are model jury instructions, and then just like give them the instruction for each of the separate things. And the attorneys can ask for changes or additions, but yeah, it's just a straight issue of law. Is there a time limit on cross? Not to the best of my knowledge. What kind of communication is Johnny allowed with his lawyers while under oath? Not much in one, man, because they can't provide him any sort of counseling at this time. So they really shouldn't be talking at all, except maybe for like purely logistic reasons, like, we're going to meet up here to go to the courthouse or something. But really, they can't have any substantive communications about what's going on the stand at this point because he's on the stand. Nada Gabri said, first time in this chat, introed through Nick. Give it a try, but already admonished by mod like a child. Need a grown-up channel later. Okay. Deidre Simmons says, you look nice in the yellow shirt today. I have a patent law question. Okay. If a patent has long since expired and the company was absorbed and no longer used the name or product or model, can I produce items from that company? You can produce anything for which a patent has expired. So if your question is, can I produce something that was once patented and the patent has since expired, can I produce that product? The answer would be yes. That would be the whole point. You can produce a patent. You can produce the thing described in the patent once the patent has expired. That would be fine. You can produce the products, mind you, not necessarily using the same names and stuff like that, because that gets into trademark issues. Valenti X says, I think Depp hit it well with the timeline also. There was only one powerful man she was involved with during that specific time period, unless she really was cheating with Elon. Yeah. Trey Nelson gives $5. What is the format for the rest of the 4 weeks? Yesterday, cross-examination. What's next? Just more of the same of that we've been seeing. I'm not sure how the judge split it up in sort of time. I mean, the most logical thing is 3 weeks each. So I don't know that for sure, but that's the most logical thing. So maybe Johnny Depp's team is done at the end of next week, whether they want to be or not. I don't know. But, so just more of the same. Johnny Depp is on the stand. More cross on Monday, some redirect, recross. I think we'll be all of Monday, probably some Tuesday, then some additional witnesses, and that's where we are. Trish says, did you see the insurance form that asked Depp about drug use? Heard's attorney misrepresented the jury. Attorney says within the past year, the form says past 21 days. You know, fair enough. That can be corrected. Volante says, do you think Amber will lose her contract with L'Oreal if Depp wins? I have no particular confidence in that happening. Sally says, can I just say how I have loved watching you on Legal Bite Stream and think your commentary is awesome. Sky says, today is Amber's birthday. Well, happy birthday, Amber. Legal Bites is online in 30 minutes. You should get together. I will if she sent out a link. Let me see if she sent out a link to join. Or whether she's doing this as solo today. Oh, she did. Excellent. And she is going to be online. I don't want to go over her too much. So let me try to structure this appropriately. Let's see. When is she on? She is on in 18 minutes. Okay, we'll give it a shot. How are you unaware of the details of the UK trial? Because I didn't watch it. This trial is what is this current trial is what it's based on. No, it's not. The current trial is not based on the UK trial. No, it's not. It's based on the Washington Post article. If during deliberations the juror says G-Day wins, I don't care if he doesn't hit all the marks, can they get into trouble for that? No, because jury deliberations are secret. Thoughts on how Milani Cosmetics quickly debunked the actress's claim she used her product to cover up bruises? No particular thoughts on that issue. It's hilarious, but, you know, nothing beyond that. One more sub and I can live stream on mobile? Okay. Peter H. says, how are jurors selected for cases like this? The same way they're always selected. Does the process differ from the norm or the case is high profile? It only differs in so much as the process gets extended. So it only differs so much as in the voir dire tends to be more expansive, tends to be more expansive, takes longer. You ask more jurors in for the total juror pool than you would in a normal case because you're going to have more issues. So it's just more of everything, but it doesn't differ other than that. How can the lawyers threaten to impeach him on a case he was never charged for or lost? They can impeach him on any inconsistent statement he's made. That's the nature of impeachment. The UK judge was biased. His wife was a friend of Amber Heard's lawyer, and his son worked for The Sun and Dan Wooten, who wrote the article. Maybe that's true. I couldn't really speak to that issue because I didn't follow the UK trial. Can someone abuse another person and then record the abused person at their breaking point and claim abuse and win? I mean, maybe. Ghost of Recon gave $4.99. Much love, bud. Have a drink on me. $20 from Cycle Boy. Long-time harasser, first-time donator. Have a good weekend. Thank you very much. 5R from Pollyanna. So there's another live saying Amber is selling videos to TMZ and L'Oreal told on her. I mean, I believe it. That's the most logical conclusion. Because that's the way that TMZ would have a right to claim it. But it's now evidence in a trial. So not so much with those claims, right? It is now part of a public trial. It's now part to the public. The fact that TMZ is trying to claim it is hilarious. No. Stephanie says, I thought you saw something saying Musk was going to testify. I didn't see something to that, but other people were commenting they saw things that said that. I don't remember seeing anything that said Musk was going to testify. I remember other people saying they saw things that Musk was going to testify and testify via video. So I'm not sure about that, Stephanie, but thank you for bringing it to my attention. Always glad to have you here. Amber Abuser says, doesn't her lawyer have to prove JD lied when he said he didn't strike anyone? I'm not sure, to be honest. There's no previous charges, only accusations he attempted to hit someone. Why can't they threaten to impeach him? They can impeach him based on any inconsistent statements, so they're impeaching him at the moment based on like text messages he sent and stuff like that. So, and you know, if his claim is, I never struck anyone, they could bring in a rebuttal witness to disprove that claim. Because now the rebuttal witness isn't being used to prove the claim. It's being used to prove that he lied. See, this is the thing about prior bad acts, right? You can't bring in prior bad acts to prove the current event happened, but you might be able to bring them in for other purposes. So Amber Heard's team can't call a person that Johnny Depp hit to prove that Johnny Depp hit Amber. But Johnny Depp has testified he never hit a woman. So if there's a woman he's hit, they can call a woman for the purposes of showing Johnny Depp lied, which is legally different than showing that Johnny Depp hit Amber Heard. And you hope the jury knows the difference. And good luck on that. But those are the rules. Do I think Amber Heard's lawyers opened some doors that will go against her? I just think they were overall ineffective. Uncivil Law is a ray of sunshine? Aw, thank you very much. If Johnny wins, would Disney take him back for Pirates? Johnny Depp has said he's not interested. Movo says, no, I think the clerk court is keeping track of each time uses during either's turn. So time Heard's uses up on Johnny now counts against them. That might well be true. I don't know the details of that, but that might well be true. It might be their cross counts against their total time. Maybe. That would make more logical sense. Stephanie sent me a YouTube video. Could you possibly send it to my Instagram? Because it's a little bit hard for me to open the text messages on my computer unless it's sent on Instagram. Also, Legal Bites is starting, so I'm going to have to end here pretty soon because I want to also appear on her channel, so I have to watch that. Or it's at 15, so I still got 12 minutes. Okay, great. I wonder whose bed she'll leave a grumpy in. Funny. Nick, Kurt's not like Nick. This place has rules, and that's okay. Yeah, I don't like people insulting each other. I think it just denigrates the chat, and so I like, you know, a little bit more civility. So, you know. All right, Stephanie sent me the video. Let me take a quick look at this thing that Stephanie sent me. Let's see what this is. Elon Musk to testify in Johnny Depp case. Okay. So Court TV thinks that it's going to happen. Let's take a quick look at this. Oh, it's an 11-minute video. But yeah. So they're saying it's going to happen. Okay, fine. I mean, I think either side can object to it because he wasn't deposed. So he can only testify if both sides say okay. So all right. One question regarding trademarks. If the company no longer uses that name or trademark, is it okay to use it? Depends what you mean by no longer uses. Damn, Kurt is almost at 54K subs, making the moves on LawTubes. Yes, please remember to subscribe. I want to make the moves on LawTubes. I'd also like to have all the subs ever. That'd be great. Okay. Just getting here. How are you feeling today? I'm all right. Hi from Minnesota. Hello. Thanks for being on with Legal Bites so much, Kurt. Your insights and objectivity are so helpful. Thank you. I do my best. Who decides the amount to be awarded? That's what the jury is for. Can they add a new witness if a woman came forward, or is it too late? For a rebuttal witness? No, they can add her on. So like because the claim would be, I had no idea that Johnny Depp was going to lie on the stand. So, you know, it's like, I want to bring her in to impeach her. You can do that. And the example you made about bringing in a person who can confirm Johnny Depp hit her, that only works if they know about it, right? They can't go fishing? Correct. They would have to have a woman who is willing to say, and has said, yeah, Johnny Depp hit me. Here's where he hit me. That would work. But yeah, they can't go fishing. Great video. First time I was here. Love that you answer questions for us. You're welcome, ambusher abuser. You're welcome. I like interacting with you guys, and as long as you guys ask intelligent questions, I'm happy to participate. Well, at least for the next 9 minutes. And I'm going to try to bounce over to Legal Bites. Thank you, Uncivil. I'd love to know your opinion about McGurk versus Oklahoma. Yeah, I thought legally it was right. I know there's a whole bunch of practical problems, but I thought Justice Gorsuch's decision made a lot of sense. Charlie Whiskey says, question, why is the case McGurk versus Oklahoma 591 US blank 2020 have underscores in it? Seems weird. Because the volume hasn't been published yet. So 591 is the volume number, but they don't know what page number it is because it hasn't been published yet. So when they say like 591, it's like, well, they know what volume it's going to be, but they're not sure which page. So that's why it's cited like that. So once it's published, it would have the page number dropped in. See, Neil says we can be civil at uncivil law, like real adult people, right? I mean, I don't begrudge Nick his rules. He prefers that environment. I prefer one where people don't insult other people in chat because it just isn't helpful. I don't mind people disagreeing with each other in chat, expressing opinions, but, you know, insulting other people in chat just doesn't get anywhere. It's like, let's, you know, we don't have to do that. Let's behave, you know, in a nice way. Stephanie says, apologize. Perlonia asked for €5. If either Amber or Johnny would die, would this lawsuit stop? Not necessarily, because their estate could continue it. So because the harm was to him and the harm would be to the state. So the lawsuit could continue even if one of them dies. That would be true, incidentally, if one of them died even before the case was heard. Obviously, it's harder because you have someone dead now who can't testify, but as a legal matter, sure. Stephanie Ann says, I love how clearly you explain things in real language. Examples like, here's the law, but the jury may think. Yeah, I just try to say, well, like, because I'm a lawyer, like the pure legal technicalities are interesting to me. Like on the pure legal technicalities, here's technically what the jury's supposed to be doing. Here's technically the questions they're asking. Here's technically what they should be thinking. Here's, you know, and then, okay, in reality, what's happening, right? Probably not that. We need to get me to 60K, and how? Tell your friends. Tell your friends, tweet about them. Musk doesn't have to legally testify. That's true. He wasn't served with a valid subpoena, so that's true. He doesn't have to testify either if he doesn't want to. So not only do both parties have to say okay, Elon Musk has to say okay. So yeah, it only happens if they're all in agreement. How did I choose your YouTube name? It was suggested by a friend. I originally was called Internet Law Review, which was, you know, it was all right as a name, Internet Law Review, but I don't know. It's a little geeky. And then someone suggested Uncivil Law, and I thought it was creative. So I was like, okay, great. And then I became my name, so why not? Do you let someone testify that you haven't deposed? Me personally? Probably not. Probably not. I'd probably object. I thought Elon was not properly served. He's not. So Elon doesn't have to testify unless he wants to. And even if he was properly served, because he wasn't deposed, either party can object. So he only gets to testify if they all say okay. Does the order of the testimonies matter? Not in a legal sense, no. It's up to the lawyers in terms of the presentation of witnesses. So they can put it in any order that they think is strategically wise. Couldn't they fine for Johnny and just give him $1 in damages? Yes, they can do that too. Yes, they can do that too. That would be a valid option. Azrael said, tried reading the Scottish decision on the 30-day rule, but it's confusing as hell. That happens sometimes, yeah. Welcome potentially criminal in the chat, yes. The company no longer uses name and products advertisements in the last 70 years, in fact. Check the trademark registry, and if it's not on the trademark registry, then that should be fine. Who is the worst Supreme Court justice and why is it Sonia Sotomayor? I don't know about that. Sometimes me and Sonia get along. I liked her opinion in her sole dissent. I liked her sole dissent in, what was it? The Colorado driving case. Well, I can't remember right now, but I really liked her opinion in that case. The trial is not being streamed today, no. It's just motion practice today. I expressed the opinion on the flyers being left in the cars at the courthouse. It could very well be jury tampering as well. $20 from Candace Marie. I am Robot NY. Just uploaded an audio clip of Amber and Depp not heard in court. Please share it. It needs to be amplified. It's ultra cringe and incredibly damaging to Amber. Well, I don't really want to do that personally because I try to assess things based on what's happening in court, for better or worse. And so if it's not presented in court, then to some degree I don't care because I care about the legal, or I care about, what's happening in the courtroom. For $9.99 from Michelle G. First super chat for your channel. Just wanted to let you know I really enjoy your channel. You seem to really enjoy educating people about the laws and shows. You're an absolute pleasure to listen to. Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much, Michelle. And $4.99 from Ashley Harrison. I'd love for you to do a video about Texas and Oklahoma Scottish-related abortion bans. I think I've done it a little bit. And the Scottish abortion decision this summer. I will definitely, for sure, cover that. I've done a couple videos on the Texas one. In various parts where I talked about the issues and some, but it's a very fascinating case. Why not trial today? The judge is in charge of scheduling. The answer, why not trial today? Because the judge doesn't want to have trial today. It's really no more complicated than that. The judge wanted to reserve it for motion practice. So, fine. Deidre says, thank you for covering the law side of Todd Chrisley KJ case. You're welcome. Yeah, I just want to give the legal analysis. And, I think Todd Chrisley has some problems in his claims, but, we will continue to assess and see if the analysis changes. But, I'll just try to give a legal analysis. I may not ultimately be right, of course, but I do my best. If Depp wins this case, would this open the doors for the UK case against the Sun? No, probably not. I mean, I don't know UK law, but I can't imagine that it would. Not for the least of reasons, incidentally, that UK law is different than US law. So there's that. Did Franco do a deposition? Franco did do a deposition, so he could be called. Can JD bring more evidence about lost jobs, or is it too late? He can bring more evidence. He'd have to bring it in some other way, but yeah, he can do that. Do you think Amber has an advantage, seeing as Johnny's testifying first? She might be able to, but will Amber be cross-examined? Oh yeah, assuming she testifies, yes, for sure. Carrie Smith says, from all your legal internet friends, who would you not like to go against in court? Thank you. All right, I see that I am out of time because it is 1/4 the hour. So I'm going to go pop over on Legal Bites channel and talk to her for a little while and see about that. But I've really enjoyed everyone who's been here. So for the 739 of you who are currently here, thank you very, very much. We peaked out, I think, in the 900s. So that was very, very good for us today. Given the interest in this, I might try to do more daily recaps. So maybe I'll do a daily recap at the end of each day going forward because of the interest in it, and try to summarize what I think happened that day. So that might be interesting. I don't really have particular interest in streaming the entire channel. That's a long day, but I might do daily recaps going forward because of your interest in it. Remember, please hit the subscribe button. If the subscribe button is currently red, the redness says, please hit me. Please hit me. I'm red. Please hit me. So hit the red subscribe button and let it become gray as it was meant to be. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. For 99 cents, you too can become an uncivilian. It's true. We have people's names on top of the screen. Not so much today because it was just me talking to the camera, but when I'm reading documents, the names scroll on screen, as I'm sure you've seen before. And you might want to know, how do I get my name on screen? It's super easy. You hit the join button, you hit the link, and for 99 cents, you become an uncivilian. You get your name on screen and you get a cool little icon by your name. That's a lot of fun. And so all that good stuff. So remember to do all the YouTube things. I've been Uncivil Law. This has been a lot of fun. Until later, my friends, I hope you have a great day, and goodbye.